Welcome to our 8-part video and audio series on the Beatitudes. These provocative and often confusing sayings of Jesus are said to provide a blueprint for living the Christian life. So let's dive in with our Good News team, Lynn Shemetek, Lauren Welch, and John Shemetek.
Our topic today is the first of the Beatitudes. It is, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." People often think that it's blessed are the poor because it's the poor in spirit. So I think we have to talk about what that means. And what do you think the poor in spirit means, guys?
Well, at least for me, it doesn't mean that you have to live in poverty, which is what you were saying that most people think. I think for me, it means to know that I don't have control. I know I lived most of my life thinking and wanting to be, maybe not thinking, but wanting to be in control. And the more I tried to control my life, the more trouble I got into. And as I began to know that I was safe in the universe, there was a presence around me that would guide me if I actually tapped into it. Life became more bearable. So I think it is knowing that I'm not in control and knowing that there is a greater presence around me all the time.
What about for you, John?
Well, maybe something like that. I think that poor is the tough part of that for me, because I can translate in my head to say, well, blessed are those who are not filled with spirit, because there's the opportunity or the hope for spirit. I think that someone who is poor in spirit has an awareness that they are not spiritually fulfilled. They need something in their spiritual life that's incomplete in some way. And rather than just sort of dwell into, oh my goodness, I am not spiritually fulfilled, I think the flip side of that is that, and I think that's true for many of the Beatitudes, that there is a hope and an expectation that if I just trusted the divinity, that I would become spirit-filled, that God would come to me and provide the spiritual nourishment that I need to feel that I'm spiritually healthy.
So for you, it's not so much a control issue.
Everything's a control issue for me. But
I know that's why I smiled when Lauren said.
Maybe it's not so much a control issue, but it is. I think it is. Again, that sort of what strikes me with so many of the Beatitudes is an awareness, and maybe the awareness that it's God who is the source, the divine one is the source of spiritual life, is the source of all life, is the source of spiritual life, and I am not. I am not sufficient in any way to do that. So maybe that is what being not in control means.
Maybe. Well, so how can we have people not feel that they have to be so much in control or realize that they need God, even in the good times? A lot of times I really think that people go to God and pray and everything when the times are bad. But even in the good times, we need to realize that God is around us and that He is in control, really. And He only has the very best for us. So how do we have people kind of recognize that, or kind of realize that they have to, every once in a while, get out of their own mind or their own selves or their own egos and go and see what God has in mind? That makes any sense?
I think it makes great sense, Lynn. I think Jesus taught us what to do. Jesus taught the disciples to pray the Our Father, right? And Jesus was spent a lot of time in prayer, not just when he was in the garden or in trouble, or just when he was exasperated by the apostles, but Jesus spent time in prayer probably every day. And I think the more that we spend time in the presence of God and listen to that still small voice, then we begin to trust, as John says, and be filled with that presence rather than the anxiety of trying to do it ourselves. But I think following Jesus's example of prayer is one way.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to do it, Lauren. I was thinking about, if we talk about the Beatitudes being a blueprint for our Christian faith, for what we can build on or build from, I think the question of, well, what does this actually mean from a practical standpoint's a good one. And I think your advice about praying is really excellent. Certainly Jesus, as you said, he had many times when he prayed. He seemed to be praying all the time. And to me, it is, when I talk to people about prayer, which seems to come up a lot in my conversations with people, that they think of prayer as being kind of a structured thing, that they have to have certain words or it has to be good enough. And to me, I think that prayer is often noticing and becoming aware of the Divine One everywhere, in every place, in every person, in everything. And if we do that, just from time to time, remind ourselves, let me look for God in this. Where is God? Where, or however we'd like to refer to the divinity. How am I being aware of that now? It's something as simple. A lot of people talk about, walking in nature is a prayer. I think that is absolutely true. If you just can appreciate the beauty and the impact and so much about nature, the sounds, the smells, the vision of it, you can see God in so many ways through all of our senses. So I think for me, if I were advising somebody about prayer, I'd say use your senses, use all of your senses, use your body, become aware. You think of in other cultures, and in our culture too, for that matter, these days, how people use yoga and Tai Chi and other kinds of movement and meditation. All those things are wonderful ways to connect and with the Divine One, and to become less poor in spirit, but to become rich in spirit.
I like that. Well, I think that this has all been very interesting discussion, and what I'd like to now is to turn it over to you, the person who is watching this podcast, and say, what do you think about when you hear the words poor in spirit? And what does it mean to you? And then the second thing is that from your own life, can you think of anything that would help you to have the feeling that God is with you? Is there maybe it's your yoga, maybe it's reading a book, maybe it's going out and walking in the forest. Who knows? Everyone is different. So I'll see you soon, I hope, and take care.
Well, thanks for being with us. We appreciate your spending some time with us, and that was the first of our Beatitudes. We got 7 more to do. So I hope you'll be able to join us in future ones and give some thought to what it means.
Blessings and peace until we meet again.
This episode on the Beatitudes has been brought to you by Listening for Clues. You can find us at our website, listeningforclues.com, on our YouTube channel, or on just about any audio podcast channel. Hope to see you soon.